my
What
God.
are you wearing on your feet? In the pictures, you're wearing Birkenstocks. You couldn't possibly run in Birkenstocks.
Yeah, no, Birkenstocks are really comfortable.
Yeah, you can't run in them.
See, Judith, I can't run at all, right? This is the funniest thing about it.
I would need a trainer to run after a slowly moving bus. That's all I'm saying.
Dodging from side to side to try and catch his attention in the rear.
Yeah. And what was Sarah doing while you were
She was
doing this?
crying with laughter.
Yes.
The funniest thing she did was sing. Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show. Good morning, Judith. How are you then?
I'm good, Nicola. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much. We've got no massive challenges to cope with being in Greece this week, apart from the fact the weather's the temperature's plummeting rather.
Yes, I can see you've got 15. We've got 13, which is not bad.
No, absolutely. It's sunny and lovely day today, but it's just what's the word I'm looking for?
Cooler.
It's chilly. Yeah, it's a chilly breeze.
Yes, I know. We have a lovely day. I have the window open. I have a blue sky streaked with the chemtrails from the aeroplanes. I've got sun on everything I'm looking at. I feel quite jolly.
Good. That's good news.
Well, sunshine makes me jolly more than anything.
Yeah. I know. No, it really does have a massive effect, doesn't it? It makes you wonder why the human race, spread out from Africa in the first place.
Well, it's a strange old thing. It doesn't suit everybody. I mean, autumn, and an awful lot of my friends and followers on Facebook are big autumn fans. They can keep it as far as I'm concerned, but I sort of understand why they like it, and most people like seasons.
So this week for me has all been about creative tension, I think you'd call it. I've had wranglings with myself about what to do next, because doing the Spirit Business course, which I'm thoroughly enjoying now, by the way, has made me it sucked me in a direction a little bit, which I managed to pull myself back from, of the whole coaching, mentoring program, retreat, mastermind, because that's what they're all aiming for. So it sucked me down that road a little bit, and then I was thinking, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And then the other day, you know how this whole subconscious thing gets to grip? I mean, basically what I want is a membership site. And then what I put in front of that membership site was the thing that was, I was wrangling with myself about. And then I went to sleep one night, and uncharacteristically, I slept for nearly 12 hours, which is most unlike me, because I normally do 6 or 7. And I woke up in the morning with this one word in my head called books. And I thought, yes, that's what I was supposed to be doing. That's what I was wanting to come out to Greece to do, was to put more books together, just do books, and then have a membership site on the back end. And I suddenly reminded myself that it could be as simple as that.
You've got quite a lot of books already, haven't you? 2 or 3?
Yeah, but none of them make me any money, Judith. The first 2 are quite old, and interestingly enough, my ex-business partner, Neil Asher, has literally this week brought out an excellent book on Amazon SEO. How to SEO your Amazon products for maximum effect. And reading through it, I could see why the first 2 books don't make me any money, because they were put onto Amazon, by my publisher, and I'm sure they did it to, the best of their ability as they knew how at the time. But now I know they could be done so much better. And also there's a lot of things like, recency of reviews makes a big difference and things like that. So what we'll have to do perhaps is have a Client Challenge of the Week episode where I talk a little bit about that. But so what it made me realise was that I'm in control now. I self-publish, and it also made me realise that the way I self-published the last books was very unwieldy and cumbersome, whereas actually you can just do it very easily now, because there's a thing called Amazon Create Space. So my next book, which hopefully will be on there within a month, I'm aiming for. I'm going to use all of Neil's SEO tactics, because although his book's principally aimed at e-commerce people, it would equally work well for books.
Okay.
So we'll follow that story as it goes.
Indeed.
But
is that book that you're going to have up within a month the one about getting rich, science of getting rich?
Well, it might be the science of getting rich online, yeah, because that one's nearly done. So that would be an obvious one. The other one I wanted to do was look at our client challenges of the week and some themes together from that. So
yes, that would be a good idea. Yeah,
because that's another way of getting things out into the big wide world. And I've got some good news for you in the project updates, by the way.
Oh, very good, because I just left that section blank, hoping you would have something to tell us.
Okay, so my week's been about having tension building, and then getting my issues solved in my sleep, which is perfect.
I often tell you to go with what comes, that waking thought.
Yeah, and it was really clear. It's just one word.
Yeah, it often is. It's on the tip of your tongue, almost literally. It's almost when you say it, and there's a word on the tip of your tongue. It's extraordinary how that works. And how often we should just trust our higher self or our subconscious or our inner wisdom. And sometimes if I don't know what to do with my logical brain, I deliberately either write a sentence down and go to bed, knowing that I'll wake up with the answer. Yeah. It's like inviting the other part of you, whatever you call it, your higher self, your better self, your divine part of you, to know the answer. And it always does. We just go on with our arrogant, egotistical, logical brains thinking that we control the universe, whereas we don't. And I love it hearing you say things like that. And of course, a client challenge of the week about books and doing that right on Amazon would be fantastic for all of us, because I always say to my clients who want to write books, yes, well, writing the book's the easy bit, isn't it? But then bang it up on Amazon. In the days when you did that, when your publishers did that for you, they thought that's what we wanted, to have a book on Amazon. But actually it's meaningless unless it makes any money, isn't it?
It does. And the other thing, everything, how the old universe sends you loads of clues. This week, Dan Norris published a blog post, which I'll link to I'll send you the link to it if we haven't done it already. But he wrote this blog post about how he's got a 6-figure business just from selling books now. Yeah. He's done every one of his books himself and self-published, and he worked with a guy who used to be an intern for Tim Ferris. So he really knows how to sell some books, old Tim. but he got this guy to write the blog post on how they managed to get the last book doing so well on Amazon. So they're very transparent and open and sharing. So I think with the combination of Neil's book, Dan's blog post, Dan and this other chap's blog post, and the fact that getting your book on CreateSpace is so much easier than even when I did my last book, I think it would be an interesting project to follow along.
And do you use Scrivener?
I don't, Judith. I tried it and I didn't like it for some reason.
No, I don't find it very intuitive, and I couldn't be bothered to watch the thing. But what I do know is that when you get to the end of it, you press the button and it tells you need exactly what you need for CreateSpace.
Oh, okay.
So I think it would behove us to get to know it. But anyway, did you see the supermoon?
No, we haven't seen it at all here.
No, neither have I. It's a bit fast here. I'm very disappointed about that. I thought you might be in a better position to see it.
Well, we would have been, because it's been quite clear nights, but we kept mentioning the supermoon and then not looking out the window.
Yes, you too. You too, if you like.
Not really that bothered, to be honest. It's quite nice watching pictures of it on Facebook.
Oh, love the moon, me, and I would have loved to have been able to see it. But first of all, it's out the front and I'm out the back, and second of all, it was overcast.
Yes, that was probably one of our issues as well. So what's your week been like then?
Well, it's all a bit confused here about whether this is about my week or what's fueled my fire. Why don't we skip on into fueled my fire, and I'll give you two things in there, because it's quite difficult to distinguish. What's fueled my fire? Somebody we both know, who shall remain nameless on the podcast, but I'll tell you afterwards who it was, booked in for one of my Pay What You Want sessions, and it fueled my fire because she is a very successful person in her own right and a very careerist ambition, somebody who in many ways I would look up to. So it was very nice. I have coached her in the past, but it was very nice for her to book herself into my diary. And she used me precisely how I want to be used in that capacity, which is as a consultant. She picked my brains. She thought in a place of change of direction, who can help me with this? And I came to mind. What did I think about her new idea? Could I help her come up with a name for it? She paid me a good whack of money that I felt it was worth, spot on. And it was just, whenever somebody does that, and that's the future of my business, that's where I want to be in the end, I just love it. It's such a good sign that somebody's already hiring me to do the things I want to be available to do. So that was a good one. And the other one was, I've had some staggering, no, that's too big a word. I've had a lot of surprisingly pleasant results from the recent upstep in blogging and online writing I've been doing again. So one Saturday morning in the bathroom about 2 weeks ago, I suddenly thought I would blog that story about foreign food again, Judith, with 2 S on the end. I'm not sure if you know that one. But an old school friend of mine who I haven't seen since her wedding in 1987, who has commented on my blog before, and I replied to her, but it bounced back. This time it did bounce back, and on Saturday afternoon we talked on the phone for an hour and 40 minutes, and as you know, I don't really like talking on the phone. But she'd gone into the garage with a couple of cigarettes and a gin and tonic. Now, she'd gone into the garage because they're not allowed to smoke in the house, so they have to go into the garage to smoke. But she had 2 bags of gin and tonic in the garage when she was talking to me, and we went back, we talked about, the intervening 30 years and what our parents had died of and when, because I was very fond of her parents. And it was just so nice that she, on both occasions, she connected me. The 2 blogs she connected me in over the year has been things that we had in common. So the first one was Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and I was a Redford fan and she was a Newman fan. And this time it was about recipes that we remembered and how she remembered being in that same kitchen. It was just a lovely, lovely, lovely thing to come out of a blog. Just like you, when you woke up with that word, I was standing in the bathroom cleaning my teeth and I thought, oh, this story needs to be written. So I went into it Saturday. Wasn't about business. I just wrote it. I shared it. She read it. She contacted me. We talked again, and it was like 30 years just rolled away.
Yeah, and I can't help seeing your Google Analytics because it's in my dashboard for some reason. I think going back to the days when I did some ads for you, and I've definitely noticed that your average 30-day traffic has gone from it's increased by about a third.
Well, I'm glad you're looking at those because I never do. But the other second good thing that came out of the upstep of blogging is that I've been asked to be this judge, and I'm the judge for some sort of small business Christmas competition. Oh. And in the PS, she put, this woman, something like, "Oh, I so love that blog post of yours. It's completely inspirational." And I was in 2 minds about accepting this because I do hours work over a weekend in December, which is not the end of the world. I'm delighted to do that, but I didn't know whether I should accept it or not. But once she started flattering my blog, flattering me where I live in my writing, I was in like Flynn.
Yeah, there's nothing like someone telling you how brilliant you are.
What a good job if they want you to. My niece used to do that when she was about 3. She used to want me to do this double-sided Walt Disney jigsaw puzzle with her, which we did over and over and over and over and over again. She, "Judith, could you do the puzzle with me again? I like your nail polish, by the way." And she was 3. She worked out at 2 or 3 that, and all the way to get me to do something was to flatter me into it.
Yeah.
Bless her. Anyway, tell me what's fueled your fire.
You're a born saleswoman in the making, that girl.
Yeah, what a sweetheart.
Well, it's 2 books, and it's a combination of them. I mentioned the first one last week, the storytelling book. But the interesting thing is now I'm reading that. I totally am just getting, I'm looking at television shows and things, and I'm able to tell the plot sequence and things like that. I've always liked guessing plots, but this is much more interesting. And the other one is Neil's book, the SEO Amazon thing, and the 2 books couldn't be poles apart. But what Neil's actually always been a really good storyteller. He can write for England, and so I think the combination of the storytelling, the archetypes, the storytelling, and the geekiness of the SEO for Amazon has just completely fired me up. And I'm just, I've started blogging again myself on my own blog, and I've also got, this is such a huge thing, I can't believe I've done it. I've redirected all the traffic from Wheelhouse and clicksandleads.com to Nicola Cairncross.
Oh, rock and roll.
I know. I thought you'd like that.
Rock and roll.
It's not, I haven't got rid of them or anything. I haven't done anything permanent.
No, I understand that. In fact, One Woman, One Website was the reason why this woman booked herself for pay what you want, because this was a second idea, and how should she handle it?
Yeah. And I think we do get sucked and seduced into, and I do still believe that if you've got a Facebook ads agency, a personal web, blog, and a consultancy thing, it is better to have 3 websites, so you can send the appropriate client to a website that just talks about one thing. I think that's really important. But if I've got the courage of my convictions and I just want to do books into a membership site, and there's quite a few precedents for that success on that business model, then I've got to stop diluting my traffic and get all the traffic going to one place and have the bravery and the courage of my convictions.
Well, that's what works. It's naming your colours to mastering one thing.
Yeah, and I've got the results back from all my most favourite clients on what archetype they are, and they all fall into one of 2 categories. So I definitely know who is attracted to me now. So that's going to help and inform the way I write on my NicolaCairncross.com blog.
And are we going to talk about archetypes in Client Challenge of the Week?
Yes, we are. We're going to talk about the whole kit and caboodle, Judith.
Right, so should we go now then?
Should we crack on then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like to hear about 18 proven ways to enjoy a successful location-independent business and the freedom to live wherever you like? Own It The Summit is a pack of 18 dynamite interview recordings with globally successful entrepreneurs, sharing their secrets of the real laptop lifestyle. We handpicked each of these people to interview to show you how to set yourself free to design your ideal lifestyle, whether working from home or travelling the world, while running a successful virtual business that you absolutely love. If you're bored sick of working for someone else, trading time for money, or of being a business owner living in one place, sick of the terrible weather and desperate to travel and have adventures, Own It The Summit is for you. These 18 global entrepreneurs share their stories. You can listen and enjoy their tales of where they started, how they founded and grew their businesses, the tools and techniques they use to work on the go, and what living and working in total virtual freedom really looks and feels like. By the time you've listened to these dynamite interviews, you'll be so inspired that you'll want to set up your own virtual business and be researching how to live and work on the go. But Judith and I pulled out all the stops to find people we both know to be living an exceptional life, running exceptional businesses. Participating in this summit was directly responsible for me deciding to up sticks and go and live in Greece. And Judith was already in preparation to go and live in the Caribbean. With that in mind, you can imagine we drilled down to look for the nitty-gritty answers to the questions you might have about living and working abroad. After the event, testimonials poured in, and everyone seemed to find something different in each speaker to really enjoy. Just one of the testimonials read, "I've never been online that long, 2 days in a row, my new record for studying online." That was Eve. Claire said it was great content. Her family was getting cross with her huddled in her study. So great to be reminded of all the supportive tools out there for digital nomads. Love your speakers. Just visit ownitthesummit.com and get your hands on these life-changing recordings today.
Okay, so there's 3 elements to what I'm learning in spirit business. Now, I don't want to tell, obviously I don't want to, I couldn't possibly tell everyone in 10 or 15 minutes what it's all about and how to do it. And so I don't think I'm doing any disservice to Mike and Kylie. And I think if you are interested in this topic, go and check out their course, because it's very affordable. It's extremely good. And they live, sleep, breathe and eat this stuff.
Could I just say that in the show notes, I have linked to it in each of the past 2 weeks. And this will be a third link today, myspiritbusiness.com.
Okay, good. Well, I think that's only fair, isn't it? Because it's such a huge new topic that I've never really come across that much in my all my years, Judith, of internet marketing training. So there are 3 elements to it. The first element is knowing your own archetype, and the archetypes are Jungian ways of talking about how people function, and it's not about what's wrong with you, although your archetype does have a shadow side. So you're the sage, aren't you? Did you read about your shadow side at all, as well as your?
Yeah, I glimpsed through it. Of course, I picked out the pages that might be pertinent to our discussion today, but left the shadow side to one side because, I'm such a pos person. I'm not really interested in the other side.
Okay, and you don't need to know your shadow side necessarily, but you do need to know your story of how you came from your shadow side to your light side, because you're always going to be a few steps ahead of your clients. So your own hero's journey is which is the next element we're going to talk about in a minute, is your journey from the shadow side of your archetype to the light and positive side of your archetype, and how you've personally overcome the darker elements of your characteristics and personality type. And so then you need to know who is attracted to you. So if you've already got a client base like I have and you have, it's an easy job to pick out the people that you really enjoy working with, that you've achieved the best results with, that pay you happily, that are profitable and all that stuff. So, and then send them to do this free archetype quiz by Ferris Mooney. And that's really nice because Ferris gets, a new lead, and she gets to expose her she's principally a graphic designer, which I find fascinating. And her stuff is gorgeous as well. So I'm very happy to send people to that site. And they get to do a quiz for free that tells them a little bit more. And I think it does build on wealth dynamics and the Colby test. I think the three things together are very revealing. But then you need to know what the shadow side of your ideal client is. Now, my favourite clients have come back, and they are all, to a man, one of two types. They're either innocents or they're alchemist creators or creator alchemists. And creators are people who feel compelled to put stuff out there. They blog, they make YouTube videos, they're actually doing stuff. They're not creators in the wealth dynamic terms who can be a bit unproductive and so creative they're woolly and confused. In the archetypes, creators are people who make things, and I know that lots of your clients are definitely creators. Well, a lot of mine are creator alchemists or alchemist creators, and alchemists are the magician figure. They can make any possibility any potential seem possible, and they are the kind of people who, like Gandalf in The Hobbit and things like that. So they turn up, often making a call to action to the archetype client. So I'm an alchemist creator, so I attract alchemist creators and creator alchemists.
Sorry, could I just ask a question here?
Yeah, sure.
Is alchemist one of the archetypes?
Yes.
And creator another?
Yes.
So you're doing that thing you do with wealth dynamics. You're either one or the other. Well, why do you insist on straddling two?
Because similarly with wealth dynamics, I'm so close creator star that it's nearly impossible to tell which one I am more than the other. And with the archetypes, it's important to know your secondary archetype. And that's a nice thing. You'll love this about the Ferris Mooney thing, is once you've done the first bit and found out your first archetype, you go and do another test, which is more deep and 66 questions rather than 12. But you can pay what you want. She does it on a pay what you want basis. And you've also you get like a business pack with it as well, which I've not looked at yet. So knowing your own archetype is important, because you're obviously going to attract clients that are like you, but who perceive you to be further forward in your own hero's journey. So they think you can teach them something. And then you're probably going to have another kind of client, like I have, who are the innocents. And two of my most favourite clients are innocents, and I can see, reading the details about their archetype, why they are attracted to me. Because they are very simple, they're very straightforward, they're very down to earth, they're very, what you see is what you get. And I think they perceive that the alchemist in me can teach them to do things that they feel they don't know how to. The magic bits. And I think that's what attracts them. So then you need to know what your shadow side of your ideal client archetypes are, where they're struggling, because the shadow side is where they are at the moment, and why they're looking for a coach or some training or some tuition or a webinar. And if you know what the shadow side of their archetypes are, you can then tell stories that relate to them. It's like when I read the marketing materials for my spirit business, I'm not joking, Judith, it was like they were talking just to me in this moment. It was so compelling to read it. And looking inside at who everyone is when they're in there, they're all creator alchemists in there. so they really did know their ideal client archetype, and they really did use the language. And that's what this is all about, using the language that really connects on a very deep emotional level with people. I've got a very good sales page for my membership site, which doesn't convert as well as it should because it's too factual. It's features and benefits orientated, but it doesn't have that. It's not making that deep connection with people. And that's how, if you start to know who your clients are, who you are, what your hero's journey is from your shadow side to your light side, and then where they are in the shadow side and what they're looking for, you can just write better copy, basically. More connecting copy with love, and you'd love the language they use. It's all about connecting with love, not being cynical, not being manipulative, not needing to use false scarcity and trick tactics to get people to buy. Just about connecting on a very deep level with people.
All right, can I ask a question?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
What is Sarah's archetype?
Well, Sarah, my sister, who's here now and listening to us at the moment. What are you, Sarah? You're a creator. Oh, she's done the first one, alchemist, aren't you? Yeah, she's an alchemist too.
Okay.
Because, when she's talking to people, she gets very excited about the possibilities and potential for their businesses.
Yeah.
And that's a typical characteristic. So now coming on to how they call it the story arc, how you bridge the gap from your archetype to theirs, and the light side of your archetype, the dark side of where they're and where they are and where they need help. That's when you bring in the hero's journey. And the hero's journey is something obviously written by Joseph Campbell, and it's one plot line. If you, I've actually dug out some resources for you. So if you go to, there's one called The 7 Basic Plots.
Yes, I've written a blog post about that.
Okay.
As a writer, that's all there is, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, in Christopher Booker's The 7 Basic Plots is a long book. It's on the order of War and Peace. It gets repetitive at time, but if you can slog through it, you'll be. And then it lines up the 7 different plots, which are overcoming the monster, rags to riches, the quest. Lots and lots and lots of films of that one.
Yeah.
Voyage and Return. You can think of that Greek bloke, Jason. Comedy, tragedy, and rebirth. Yeah. Now, for coaches and people who are teaching people things, I think rags to riches, the quest, and rebirth are probably the 3 most powerful there.
Okay.
But if you know the basic plots, then you can tell every story based on that. And the hero's journey, which is the quest, so the hero's journey and the quest are interchangeable. If you can tell that story using your archetype as the person who is the mentor and the shadow archetype of your ideal client, where they are and where they want to become, then you can see how powerful all this would be as it starts to fit together.
Yes, and storytelling, of course, is very 2016.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And it's the thing I like about it all is, and they really spoke to me with their marketing materials with this, that, I was getting a little bit jaded with all this. I was thinking, I can't possibly write any more sales emails. I can't write any more sales pages. I can't do any more webinars. I'm just worn out with it all. And that was because I was operating on a very superficial level with it. And also I was semi-thinking, I suspect that the people who get very, very, very successful, not just 6-figure successful, but 7-figure successful, are using dirty tricks. So I was jaded about marketing, which I never thought I'd hear myself say.
Don't worry about this, darling. I can find the links for this because I know about it.
Okay. It's rejuvenated me. And I found it all really intellectually interesting. As I'm watching TV programs and adverts, it's being repeated over and over. I can't help seeing the plot lines now, and I can't help seeing the archetypes and who they're appealing to and who they're appealing to. So it's obviously been out there and working for lots and lots of people. But I've never come across it before. So in such a coherent fashion.
Yes.
Yeah, it enables you to know yourself better. It enables you to know your client better. It enables you to speak to your client in language that they understand. So the thing I've done now is I've set up, I like to take action fairly immediately, as you know, half-assed, some might call it. But so what I've done is I've set up a Facebook ad, because I've thought to myself, okay, so what have I got that would make a good ethical bribe giveaway for my ideal clients, the innocence and the creator alchemists. And I've got a webinar that's done very well and has brought me some of the best clients, best in terms of suited to work with me, not, no judgment call here. And so I've set up a Facebook ad campaign which sends them to an opt-in and then jumps them to a survey, which I've done with obviously the opt-ins on these pages, and I've done the survey on Typeform, which is really nice. And then they end up on a thank you page after they've completed it. And then after that, they get to register for the webinar, which is on EverWebinar. So they can either book in to watch it at a time that suits them, or watch a replay, because I don't believe in false scarcity like that.
And these people who have this webinar that you're talking about,
it's my best year, it's called Your Best Year Yet.
Yeah, but and is that when you say it brought forth the people who are most suited to working with you, are they the people that you want now, i.e. the members of your membership site?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they are. They're actually, it brought it brought a few clients who signed up without even blinking at my top level, my one-to-one level.
Okay.
Now, I don't really want one-to-one clients anymore. I'd rather just have a low level for people who can't afford a group level. And then
or lower level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people can't afford to work with me in any way, closely. Just go into the main website.
But you're saying you don't really want those anymore, the one-to-ones.
No, but there's a mastermind level in the middle, which which is the group coaching level.
Ah, okay, that's what I meant. So shouldn't you do away with the ones you don't want and just offer the ones you do want?
Well, but I don't know yet. I haven't made my mind up completely.
Okay.
So and the thing is, what I wanted to do was utilise existing assets. What I didn't want to do was throw the baby out with the bathwater and have to start again from scratch. So I'm running ads, telling a story about my hero's journey, because I can't run Facebook. You can't run Facebook ads to negativity. And what I've identified from all of this is that my clients, ideal clients, are on the cusp of something. They're on a point of change. Either they've been made redundant, they've retired, they've perhaps been bereaved like I have, or they've lost a parent. And so I wanted to find out more about that change thing, why people were attracted to work with me, because they're on this point of change. So that's what the survey is all about. It says, are you at a point of great life change? If so, what is it? Sort of multiple choice, so you can choose more than one. What do you think would help you most with that? That's bringing out some interesting answers. So it's Facebook ads to opt in, to survey, to webinar registration. And you'd think with all those steps that it would be, I'd get a massive drop-off. I'd expect a 50% drop-off at each stage. It's not working like that. It's an 80 or 90% take-up at each stage. So, at the opt-in stage, I'm getting about a 42% opt-in. But then 80 or 90% of people who do that go on to do the next bit, and 80 or 90% of the people who do the next bit do the next bit. So it's having a really massive conversion, and I'm getting some incredibly helpful information about what people in my ideal age group and demographic and everything are challenged by. So that is how it all works. Now, some people might be thinking, I can't be bothered with all this. And looking back, I think the reason the Money Gym works so almost effortlessly and almost despite me was that I had a hero's story, a hero's journey story. I think I somehow accidentally hit on the right language to talk to the people who are facing the three big challenges. And somehow we worked out how best those people wanted the solution delivered. But I think that was all really accidental.
And I think it can be.
Yeah.
Mm.
Sometimes you just, you're your own client.
Well, exactly. You were at that point your own client and right in the centre of your authenticity.
Yeah.
And learning as you went, sharing that with people as you went.
Yes, exactly. And that's something Gary Vaynerchuk talks about a lot, especially as with Sarah and I were talking about Client Challenge of the Week today, and she said something in one of the groups she's in was people were saying that they really want to be self-employed, but they don't know how to choose a business. And I think if you started doing some of this work, it would become basically obvious to you who you want to work with. Because, I've been struggling for weeks, haven't I, on who I want to work with.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to pick my market. And actually, when you start thinking about a couple of archetypes as the hero of your brand, they call it, the people who are the most ideal clients for your business, it all becomes a lot clearer. And I think that's why I've ended up with knowing who I want to talk to, knowing who I want to help. Now I'm finding out what they're most challenged by, which is a surprising result. We'll talk about that another week. And then it's a question then of matching how they want to receive help with the things that I'm willing to do and are able to do and would enjoy doing.
Mm.
What are you thinking? Are you bored stiff, or are you intrigued?
I'm not bored stiff. I took the test because you were talking about it. I didn't feel inclined to go to the second level, not least because it got me so spot on, the sage. Yeah. The words it uses to describe that are expert, and one of my SEO phrases is small business expert. The second one it uses is oracle, and as you've said to me before, why are you calling yourself the small business oracle? Well, there's your answer.
Yeah.
And philosopher, and being able to see both sides and helping people reach their own decisions. So it's enough for me that it just reinforced I was already doing the right thing. So I'm in a different place with it. I do think the process is interesting to hear you talk about, the take up at every level is higher. I think that the core message here is when you're clear about who you are and what you offer, it's like a shining beacon, a path towards you up which people can easily traverse.
Yeah. And then you just got to find a business model that suits you and appeals to your ideal client as well.
Yeah.
Because, my ideal clients are not people who want to work step by step through an 8-step program or a 12-step program. I've got all that stuff in my membership site. Nobody ever looks at it.
No, I don't think anybody wants that anymore. I don't think people read. And funny enough, before this call this morning, I had an email exchange with a client where she was trying to put them through a process. So, you're targeting yourself at small businesses and entrepreneurs. I don't think they want to go. Don't make me, by a peg, jump into your round holes. I don't think we want that. It's prescriptive, isn't it? And also, I think it might have worked a decade ago. I think in 2006 compared to 2016, we're all different people. The way we live our lives is different. The way we access information is different.
Yeah, and looking at my innocent archetype, they like things to be very clear and simple and step by step. So the fact that I can take quite complex things and turn them into step by, that probably appeals to the innocent archetype. But my creator, what are they called? I've forgotten what it's called now, even though I am one.
Alchemist,
yeah. Alchemist creators are impatient. They don't want to be doing things step by step. They think of themselves as different. So they want something a lot more. So perhaps that's why those people come on a higher level, like a one-to-one level or a group thing level where they get lots of personal attention, because they don't want to go and look at my step-by-step videos. They want to be told which video to watch.
Okay, so then we've got to think about how you're going to accommodate them in the membership side.
Yes, absolutely. And that is going to be a high-touch thing, but not through telephone calls. It's got to be a high-touch thing through a forum.
That's pretty much my model for Small Business Big Magic.
Yeah. Cool. So anyway, I hope, I know this is me, I feel like I've done a lot of talking there, but I think
there are some interesting resources which I'll link to again, and some of them for the first time. And so there's a place for people to go if they want to start exploring this for themselves. Yeah.
I'll give you a few of the links, like the 7 basic plots and the different archetypes.
No, it's okay. I know where to find them, honestly.
Right, cool.
I've written a blog post on it. I know that one.
Love to get some feedback on this from people who are listening.
Can I just let's just remind people that if this issue about show notes we talk about all the time, the show notes are written on our website, which is onlyitsthepodcast.com, underneath where you can listen to the podcast for those that do. A lot of people just subscribe on iTunes or whatever it is, wouldn't know where the show notes are or where to find it. And I'm going to link there today to all the resources that Nicola's, well, I do it every week, but I'm specifically telling you that today she's listed quite a lot of things, and I will link to all of them in our show notes at our website, onlyitsthepodcast.com.
Yeah, and then if you'd like to discuss any of this, the best place to do that is in our free Facebook group, which if you come to facebook.com/Own It the podcast, I think it is, just start typing in Own It with a space in between and you'll probably see it. It's a free private group, and we do discuss things that come up in the shows, don't we, Judith? And
our website does link to that on the first page you get to down the left-hand side. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good. Well remembered. It's on the menu on the left, yeah.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, so come and join the group. It's a good bunch of people. We get interesting discussions going on there, and people share other resources, so it's well worth doing. That's it. Client Challenge of the Week, done.
Roger. Okay, so you're going to fall over when you hear my word of the week, because you alluded to it in there when you were talking about your ideal client and point of change. And of course, you're on a point of change as well. My word of the week is reinvention. I've written here, everyone's doing it. It's all the rage. And I'm seeing the opportunity in that. So when I talk to you about how I think we should start selling things that people want, not what they need, people on the point of reinvention are in the want space.
Yes, and they don't know how to go from the want to the done.
And funnily enough, I put the word reinvention into Google, I think, and then found an article by my old mate James Altucher, and then I realised I'd already written a blog post about reinventing ages ago. So reinvention is my word of the week.
Yeah, very nice. And I hesitated to start blogging on my own blog again, because I thought, oh bloody hell, everyone's going to think, oh God, here she goes again, changing.
I don't think people think nearly as much about anybody else than you think they do. Stop worrying about that.
I know. Well, my word of the week's books, because I'm feeling fired up to do some more. And God, let's see if I can get to 10 before I croak, shall we? That'd be a nice round number.
Yes, writing them rather than reading them. I have clients who tell me secretly behind your back, God, what's she like with those books? She talks about books, another 2 books again. She recommends, she gobbles them up. So I'm glad you're talking about writing and not reading more of them, although you have given us a long reading list this week.
Well, you don't need to, because I'm picking the best bits out and sharing them with you.
Yeah.
And it does fuel my fire reading. It's for me, it's a bit like meditation, but it's also if I come out of each book. I mean, Neil's book was exceptionally good for, every single little module, as he called it, I was highlighting bits. So I think, you do, even if you come out of reading a book with one new idea or one thing you can apply to your business, that's the difference. I actually do go and do it. I had to stop reading Neil's book yesterday and go and put into action the first thing I highlighted, and then come back to the book, because it's important you action stuff, really. It's not all about input. It's all about output as well.
Yeah, quite, absolutely, yeah.
Project updates, then.
Well, nothing. I left this space gap, but you said you've got something to discuss in here.
I have. The redoubtable Sarah has been working on this all week, and through some technological challenges, I might add. We've had internet issues here. We've had Pixlr was down yesterday, which stopped anyone being able to resize their images. Anyway, it's been one of those weeks. She's finally puzzled out that in order to get your podcast to go onto YouTube, onto your YouTube channel, you need to not only set it up on, because I don't know how much you know about the technicalities of how this podcast works, but we host the podcast on Libsyn, which is what gives us all the stats and everything. But we host it for publication, for sharing only, and then we take the URL of it on Libsyn and we put it in our WordPress software on our blog. So we create, essentially, you create the blog post with the show notes. Patricia comes along and hooks up she does all the making the audio sound nice, and then she uploads it to Libsyn, and she gets the URL and she puts it in the blog post, and then she clicks publish. Well, what Sarah's found out is that we also need to be setting it up to publish on Libsyn as a standalone blog, if you like. So we need to put the show notes into Libsyn, we need to put the image into Libsyn, and then it will publish automatically. And she was experimenting with doing just one episode, and it wasn't doing it retrospectively, and she couldn't work out why. And she finally talked to the Libsyn people, and they told her that if you want to do it retrospectively, like we do for Own It, because we want to get all the episodes from number 1 onwards on there. It's best to set it all up in Libsyn and then let their know that you've done it, and then they'll make all the retrospective episodes work.
Oh, marvellous. So they charge you for that? They just do that as a marvellous customer service.
Yeah, but going forward,
Sorry, you didn't answer my question. Do Libsyn charge you for doing all your retrospective episodes?
No, don't. Well, you do the work. So what I'm suggesting is that we get Sarah to do one.
Yeah.
As Patricia will need to do it going forward.
Yes.
And then we get her to do one video one, doing the retrospective ones, and then we get Patricia to go and do all the retrospective ones. Then when she's done them, we'll tell Libsyn to make them live, and they'll be live in one hit on the YouTube.
Okay.
So we've got there, Judith.
Yes, well done, Sarah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of her skills, actually, fortitude, isn't it? Sticking with something until she's solved it.
Yeah, and it's funny because she was doing something on her phone the other night while we were watching telly, and I said, "What are you doing?" She says, "I'm playing a puzzle." I thought, "Oh my God, that's the last thing I'd want to do when I'm at the end of a day." But she just really enjoys solving puzzles, and that's what she's done for us there, which is marvellous. Yeah. So if you're listening and you want to get your podcast onto YouTube and for it to do it automatically from here on in, then that's the way to do it.
It did tell us that Libsyn do it automatically. The thing that we didn't know how to do was that we had to, in order for it to do that, we had to publish it on there as well.
Yeah, and it's really, I mean, it's not a lot of work at all. Once you've, the writing the show notes is the biggest bit of work, and recording and editing. But once you've done that, setting it up so it goes out through your blog and out through Libsyn as a separate feed is not a big deal.
So does that suddenly mean that I think your recommendation was that we would create an Own It, the podcast YouTube channel. Does that suddenly mean 105 episodes will appear on it simultaneously?
Yes.
Whoa.
I know, that'll be exciting, won't it?
That's exciting, isn't it? We should have a party that day. A YouTube party day, a podcast party day.
I know. The thing is, though, really, they shouldn't all appear at once. Well, there's no reason.
No, that's what I was like. Should they appear in chunks, or should they be fed? We could maybe get Patricia to do it in chunks of 10 or 20.
Because then she'd have to go back to Libsyn every time.
Each time, yes. Okay.
So really, you want Libsyn. What we could do is we could see if Sarah, we could set it up to go out onto as unlisted. But we'll investigate that.
Yeah. Then we could make them live at our own pace, you mean?
Yeah, no, you can't, apparently. So we'll just go with it.
Okay, so that all goes on in a lump, and then there's one a week added after that.
Yeah, and the reason we wouldn't just swap to doing putting it all on Libsyn as a Libsyn published podcast is because you want to have control over where you host your audio when it goes to iTunes, as Pat Flynn's original instructions.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy with this outcome. I think it's the best of both worlds. Yeah, good stuff. What's the next section? I've forgotten completely.
It's our final section, and I can't see the time anymore because you've got your screen on something else.
Yeah. 1 second, caller. There we go. Perfect.
That's lovely, perfect. Well, it's our last section, which is Who or What's Impressed. You want to go first?
No, can I have a minute to think?
You can. I've got a programme on BBC2 I'm loving, and I think you'll love it too. It's Black is the New Black. And
yes.
It's 4 30-minute programmes. They're totally inspirational. They're about Black Britons in fashion, music, politics, public service, acting. They're high achievers. They're beautifully photographed. It's the first programme I've ever watched, given that I watch all my programmes on my computer in HD. So the quality of the visuals is spectacular. Yeah. They talk about their upbringing in Britain, their ambitions. There's so many different ways in which this programme is gorgeous. It's gorgeous to look at. It's gorgeous to listen to. The people are beautiful even when they're not beautiful, because they're beautifully shot and beautifully made up, and they're quirky and interesting. And, it goes from... There's a lady who I think is a judge. There's quite a lot of them who've got OBEs and things like that. And they go from sort of, Jazzy B. Is he a Brit?
Jazzy B is a Brit. They
go from Jazzy B to Trevor McDonald and the judge, and a bishop. Benny, what's his name? That was married to Jordan French.
Lenny Henry.
Lenny Henry. They go, it's a full gamut, Alicia. There's a full gamut of people, and their experiences are all different. And, the lady that ended up being a judge, her career's advice was, and she was working part-time in Sainsbury's, that if she applied herself, she could become a manager in Sainsbury's, because, of course, she'd got these two terrible things to get over. One, she was a woman, and two, she was a black woman. I mean, and now she's a judge. Hurrah! It's just so inspirational. You must watch it. Even though it's just heaven.
I watched the first one. You're absolutely correct about the visual beauty of it. Interesting. I picked out other people. I love Trevor Nelson. He was one of very successful A&R man and DJ and producer.
I like Trevor.
Yeah, and then there was that woman who runs the entire United Nations. I was quite impressed with her.
And there's one woman who wanted to be and is some sort of space scientist.
Oh yes, God, the really geeky one. Yeah. Still wants to be an astronaut.
Her dad used to say to her when she was 3, "Which college will you go to at Oxford?" I mean, brilliant.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. That was great. I've only seen the first one, as you say, but it was.
And they're only 30 minutes long, and they end too soon, which is always a good thing in a program, I think.
Yeah.
Leave them wanting more. It's just totally inspirational, and it makes me proud to be British.
Well, there's several things that have impressed me this week. I had a wonderful example of the hospitality to strangers word, which was Sarah and I went for a walk. Saturday was glorious, so we went for a walk, and there's a particular hilltop walk from here to the next village, and there's only
missed the bus home or something, didn't you?
Well, there's only 2 buses a day going each way. We're on a peninsula, okay, so a peninsula's a bit that sticks out like a finger. And there is a halfway point down the peninsula called Italo, where all the buses meet up. So you can get a bus from Kalamata to Italo, which covers our bits, Cardamili, Stupa, Agios Nikolaos. And then it goes to Italo, and it's cleverly designed to meet the bus that goes from Italo to Yithio, which is the other bit of the peninsula. So anyway, it's all very, very efficient, but deceptively casual. Now, when Irving and I, in the height of summer, got the bus around the peninsula going from village to village and staying a few days, we knew there was only 2 buses a day. There'd be one first thing in the morning going in each direction. There'd be one around lunchtime going in each direction. So you got 2 buses a day. So I said to Sarah, we looked at the bus timetable online, which was astonishing in that it was even there. And we timed our walk. I knew it would take about an hour to get us to Agios Nikolaos in time to have a coffee and get on the bus to come back to Stupa. Now, this is an hour's walk to the next village, right? And there's only 1 bus going back. So when we got there and we saw lots of people sitting at the cafes, that's always a good sign, because everyone sits at the cafe to wait for the bus. Anyway, the bus, I said to Sarah, do we need to stand at a bus? I says, no bus stop. It will just stop here. People will get off, people will get on, people will unpack luggage. There'll be people who are getting on the wrong side, so there'll be a bit of a chit-chat about that. The driver will talk to his mates and, get down and stretch his legs and all this stuff. I said, it'd be fine. She said, so do we need to pay for our coffees in advance? So I thought, yeah, okay. So I went to pay for the coffees. At that point, the bus comes down the road and trundles past our cafe very, very, very slowly, because it's a very narrow road. And some of the people stood up, so I thought they were going to get the bus. So we walked towards the bus, but it actually didn't stop. It just kept going very, very slowly. So then I'm thinking, oh my God, it's not stopping. Perhaps they've changed the bus place where it stops to outside the cafes to round the corner by the post office. So we're following this bus up the hill, and then this woman starts shouting, "Run, run." Now, I thought it was Sarah, so I'm turning around and glaring at her because I'm thinking, I can't possibly run any faster. So anyway, we're hoiking our way up this hill after this bus that tantalisingly, slowly travelling along. And I'm trying to dodge from side to side of the bus to try and work out where the driver would be and catch his attention in the rear mirrors. And if he saw me, he pretended he never did, because he never did stop. He just kept going tantalisingly slowly out of the village. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that's the only bus today. How are we going to get back? We're going to have to walk again for an hour to get home again. Anyway, the woman who was shouting "run, run" at us turned out to speak very good English, and she had a little girl and a little boy with her. She sent the little boy off to play, and she put us in the car and she drove us to Stupa. which was a happy ending to what could have been a very tragic story.
Why was she shouting "run, run"? Did she know something about this bus that you didn't?
Yeah, she knew that you had to stand in front of it and wave the bloody thing down because he wasn't going to stop otherwise.
Yeah.
I just, you know, when Irving and I were there, it was much, much busier. So he obviously just stopped as a matter of routine.
Yes.
In the winter months, he probably realised that there wasn't anyone who needed him. So why would he stop? He just drove very slowly.
Yeah.
If I was in the shop paying for the coffees, I didn't stand up and do what we do in England, which is wave assertively at the bus as it comes.
Yes.
Oh my God.
What are you wearing on your feet? In the pictures, you're wearing Birkenstocks. You couldn't possibly run in Birkenstocks.
Yeah, no, Birkenstocks are really comfortable.
Yeah, you can't run in them.
See, Judith, I can't run at all, right? This is the funniest thing about it.
I would need a trainer to run after a slowly moving bus. That's all I'm saying.
Dodging from side to side to try and catch his attention in the rear.
Yeah. And what was Sarah doing while you were
she was crying with laughter.
Yes.
The funniest thing she did was
But if it hadn't been for the woman, there would have been a taxi to have been called from somewhere, wouldn't there?
No, you can't do that. There's no taxis. Well, there is 2 taxis, but you have to email them or because I can't speak Greek. You know, you can only.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we got back and we thought, we'll go for a restorative ouzo, and we went and sat at our usual place, which is not where the expats sit. We go to another cafe that all the Greeks sit at, and we watched the sun go down. And then we went out, and we kept hearing about this cocktail bar above Elias's. Now, Elias's is where we go to eat a lot of the time. Now the Five Brothers is shut.
I want to ask a question about that in a minute.
Yeah, and we never. This cocktail bar, I thought, you know, I just imagined it was completely empty most of the time. Now, Kim, my friend Kim, and her daughters spent a lot of time up there. They said it was absolutely fabulous with a great view. Anyway, went up there. We thought, we'll give it a go. I went up there, completely empty when we walked in. And we had a cocktail, lovely view, gorgeous. And within an hour, the place was absolutely rammed with young Greek people, none of whom we've seen in the daytimes. So God knows where they all are in the daytimes. And they're all up there. I'm not joking. There must have been 50 of them. All sort of Phoebe and Nelson's age, all playing.
Finally, you found a cool hanging out spot.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's going to be open all winter. So there's me thinking, and it's Ellis's children that run it, so grown-up children. Same
What's
age.
it called, this one?
It's called the 360 Bar.
Okay.
And I think I've linked to it in... Anyway, it was amazing.
Okay, so my one question is, I know there's a lot of walking for fitness purposes going on down to the village and back.
Yeah.
How often do you go out to supper or lunch, and how often do you cook at home?
Oh, we're mostly cooking at home.
Ah.
Mainly because...
So you pop down for a coffee or an ouzo?
Well, no, I mean, the first week we ate out a lot because the Five Brothers was open. But now they're closed. There's only really one or two places to go, and we're still not at the point where we want to go for pizza yet. So yeah, we just go down and to be honest, if we go down to the village, we very rarely make it back without going for something to eat because it's so cheap, Judith. I mean,
that was my question, but you're saying you do mainly cook at home.
No, we are cooking at home quite a lot, but on the weekends you get a bit stir crazy if you stay in the house all the time.
Yeah. I wasn't recommending you stayed in the house. I was asking. Never mind, doesn't matter. I think I've got my answer.
There isn't many places to eat, put it that way.
No, I understand. Yeah, I understand.
But no, it was just astonishing that there was this hidey hole of, because we've never seen a stream of young people going in and out of the door, which is right by the taverna we normally sit. We've just not noticed, or they all come in batches, and I don't know. I can't imagine how they all got up there. They must come up the stairs.
And when Kim and her daughter went up there, when was that?
That was in the summer.
So Kim found this place. Your busy mate of 20-something years found this place, but you didn't take any notice of her advice.
No, because I thought it was just another taverna. I didn't realise it was. It was a modern glamour.
And yet you can always rely on Kim to find the happening joint.
That's very true, especially with her daughters.
I've only met them twice, and I know that if Kim's giving me some advice about cool places, to follow it.
And the thing is now, if our kids come out, we've got somewhere to take them. Then it's
so good. That's good.
Full of the 60 plus.
Yes, right. Well, that should be a lot more appealing.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's that. That's who or what's impressed this week.
Okay, very good. Well, it's 1:00. We should wrap.
Okay, thanks very much. Lovely to meet you.
See you next week. Yeah, bye for now. Bye.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com,
And you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.